Ah, the Tom Brady Patriots. They took a team that wallowed in mediocrity and made them the greatest dynasty in NFL history. Countless Super Bowl appearances, countless Super Bowl wins, and the greatest pair of quarterbacking and coaching you could ask for. But there was a time when people were asking, can they ever do this again? I call this period 2005 to 2013 the dark era of Tom Brady's career. This era, for good reason, is not as talked about as the first and second parts of their dynasty, and as such, I'm fascinated with it. So with that, here's the forgotten wart of the Tom Brady-Bill Belichick Patriots. The Patriots won a combined 9-0 in their first three postseasons with Brady, of course tying down Super Bowl wins in each season. But you know what happens, when you taste something really good, enough is never enough. While they were still a very good team in 2005, they weren't the fear-inducing group of meatheads they were in previous campaigns, finishing the season at 10-6 while again doing enough to clinch the AFC East title. Brady eclipsed 4,000 yards passing for the first time in what was already a Hall of Fame career, enough to earn him the first All-Pro nod of his career on the second team. But the team's key recipe, a game-changing defense, had a complete down year after a series of personnel changes and mishaps, including a stroke suffered by linebacker Teddy Bruschi just weeks after the 2004 title win. In an act of God, however, Bruschi came back in the middle of the season in a Week 10 win over the Dolphins, and his return alone gave the Patriots a different aura they didn't have in their first 8 games, as they won 6 of their last 8. Business was taken care of against the Jags in the wildcard round in a final score Pats fans will be very familiar with in the foreseeable future. This moved them to 10-0 in playoff games in the Brady-Belichick era. The second seed Broncos and the divisional round were up next, a sign of things to come for this organization for the next decade. Trailing 10-6 with a minute left in the third quarter, Brady had driven the offense down to the Broncos' 5, where on 3rd and goal he was looking in the end zone for Troy Brown. Unfortunately, so was Champ Bailey, creating one of 2 picks on Brady and one of 5 takeaways for the Broncos' defense. The Hall of Fame corner returned the ball 100 yards and looked poised for a pick 6 until tight end Ben Watson made one of the sport's greatest hustle plays and nearly forced a touchback on a fumble. Instead, Denver got the ball on the 1-yard line, quickly capitalizing for 6 right away on a Mike Anderson handoff. Brady and the bunch quickly drove to the 25-yard line, but the drive stalled and the kick from the immortal Adam Vinatieri hooked wide right. The Broncos added another touchdown, and the Pats could only put up 7 more points to make the final score 27-13 Denver. For the first time, the Brady-Belichick Patriots lost a playoff game. And Brady, the man with 3 rings and 2 Super Bowl MVPs, had this to say: it's going to be a long offseason. It's almost like Greek mythology, an unhealthy obsession over trying to stay at the top. That's just how it is in the life of the greatest athletes of all time. The only thing to do after a disappointing season is get back to work, and the 2006 Patriots did that with a more back-to-basics 12-4 record. Normally 12-4 would be good enough to get you a first-round bye. For the 2006 Patriots, it gets you the 4th seed. They split the season series against the Jets, their first playoff spot, and the destination of choice for former Pats defensive coordinator Eric Mangini. The final score is deceiving. This was a pretty close game throughout, until the Patriots finally ran away with it in the 4th quarter. A long touchdown drive from Brady ended with a 7-yarder to Kevin Falk, then outstanding corner Asante Samuel, whose 10 interceptions in 2006 are the most from a Patriot post-merger, officially sealed it with a pick 6. They're getting a bigger test right away, going up against the 14-2 Chargers, MVP back LaDainian Tomlinson, and a new kid on the block in Phillip Rivers. In the battle of 2 top defenses, both quarterbacks struggled with turnovers, a complete back and forth in sloppy play. The Chargers were looking to break away in the 4th quarter, though, after Tomlinson's second touchdown of the day made it 21-13 San Diego. Brady helped get the Pats inside the Chargers' 41, but on 4th and 5 with 6:25 left, his pass for Troy Brown was picked off by safety Marlon McCree. It is here where Brown, a Patriot for all 15 years of his career, makes a once-in-a-lifetime play. He knocks the ball free from McCree, and receiver Resh Caldwell recovers it for New England. This isn't Brown's first rodeo on defense, as in 2004 he played defensive back and recorded 3 interceptions on the season. Now, with a generational blessing in tow, Brady drove 32 yards, capping it off with a TD to Caldwell under pressure before a creative play design on a snap to Kevin Falk added 2 points to make it a tie game. San Diego had given Brady too many chances to get the Patriots back in it, and after the defense forced a 3-and-out, Brady delivered one of the best throws of his career on a 49-yard dime to Caldwell down the Bolts 17. The game ended after Stephen Gostkowski made his 31-yard kick and Nate Kading missed his 54-yarder. Belichick is a normally stoic interview postgame, but here he was speechless. All Brady could say was, "Phew, that was not easy." The Patriots were one win away from their 4th Super Bowl appearance since 2001. All that stood was a pissed-off sheriff they had gotten the best of for so many years. The Peyton Manning Colts won the head-to-head tiebreaker in the regular season, allowing them to host the AFC title game in Round 3 of Manning and Brady in the playoffs. It was turning out like usual, a stout Patriots defense inside the head of the league's greatest signal caller, and another pick six from Asante Samuel midway through the second quarter looks like a game sealer. Well, that was almost true. The Colts scored 18 unanswered points to tie things up. Then both teams traded touchdowns. Oddly enough, we had 2 fumble recovery touchdowns from offensive linemen in this game. Both teams traded field goals, and the Patriots could not deal the final blow up 34-31 when legendary Colts safety Bob Sanders nearly picked off Brady on 3rd and short. Against the Pats defense in the biggest drive of Manning's career, he effortlessly carved them up, and a touchdown run from Joseph Adai gave the Colts their first lead of the game at 38-34. Brady responded in a hurry with 2 first-down conversions to set up shop at the Colts 45. Colt 45. On his next pass, Brady's intended throw to Ben Watson was picked off by Marlon Jackson. No strip of the ball this time, and at long last, Brady's team had fallen to his old rival. In his first 6 seasons, Tom Brady had been a pretty good quarterback with a lot of playoff success. It was his turn to transform into an all-time great quarterback with a lot of playoff success. The 2007 Patriots sought to give their franchise quarterback a completely rehauled group of weapons, and they ended up creating a monster. The big haul came in a trade for disgruntled Raiders wide receiver Randy Moss, widely considered the second greatest at the position. As if a change of scenery was all he needed to escape his declining production, Moss was truly reinvigorated and put up one of the greatest receiving seasons of all time. He was 7 yards shy of 1,500 yards and connected on touchdowns with Brady 23 times, which still stands as an NFL record. Another blockbuster acquisition came in the form of game-changing slot receiver Wes Welker, who found success with the Dolphins as a return specialist and as a kicker, but in his first full season as a starting receiver, he exploded. His 112 catches led the league, while he narrowly finished with under 1,200 receiving yards for 8 touchdowns. As Brady put it, Welker is everything you want in a football player. The Patriots also acquired a dangerous deep threat in Dante Stallworth, while second-year running back Lawrence Maroney complemented the vicious pass attack with a solid season. Rounding up one of the most stacked offenses ever were 11 combined touchdowns from Ben Watson and Javar Gaffney, and a deadly offensive line that allowed just 21 sacks on Brady. Brady, it can be argued, had the greatest season a quarterback has ever had, becoming the first quarterback to throw for 50 touchdowns while lapping the competition in completion percentage, passing yards, touchdown percentage, passer rating, yards per attempt, adjusted net yards per attempt, and the highest rating in ESPN's QBR metric ever. No surprise, he was awarded both Offensive Player of the Year and an MVP award that for some reason he didn't win unanimously. Brett Favre had a great season, sure, but what Brady did was near unprecedented. At last, the Patriots' identity came from its superstar offense, shattering the '98 Vikings record for most points scored, but the defense, not to be outdone, was again sensational. More importantly, the Patriots had done the extraordinary, the first 16-0 team in league history, a serious threat to join the 1972 Dolphins as the only undefeated Super Bowl winners. The Pats defeated the Jaguars in the divisional round and got out of quicksand against a banged-up Chargers team in the AFC Championship when Brady again shook off 3 interceptions as he and Maroney burned off the final 9 minutes and 13 seconds of game clock to make it back to the Super Bowl. One win away from being remembered as the NFL's greatest team, their opponent was the 10-6 New York Giants. The Giants were the last stand in New England's regular season quest for 16-0, a surprising gauntlet that they squeezed by inches, 38-35. But this was a different Giants team, one that felt possessed. Brady, who rarely gets sacked, felt the wrath of the Giants' pass rush and received 5 of them, including a key strip sack in New York territory at the end of the first half. Nothing they did could matter. The Giants just wouldn't go away. Even when Brady threw the go-ahead touchdown late to Randy Moss, the Giants responded with the most haunting two-play sequence in Pat's history. Eli Manning fled from a potential game-ending interception that Asante Samuel could not grasp, followed by a sack escape on 3rd and 5, where he heaved the prayer down the field that stuck to the helmet of David Tyree, quite possibly the greatest catch in NFL history. For years, this Patriots team got all the bounces, all the breaks. It wasn't happening anymore, and a few plays later, Manning threw the game-winning touchdown to Plaxico Burress in the back of the end zone. Brady gave it his all on the last 4 plays, but his 3 deep shots fell to the ground as the Patriots completed one of the biggest letdowns in sports history, and the Giants completed the biggest upset in league history. The Patriots were already fresh off a controversial videotape surveillance scandal known as Spygate. Now they had suffered a Super Bowl loss that would be just as remembered as their Super Bowl wins, if not more so. For the first time, the Brady-Belichick Patriots were Super Bowl losers, and the greatest regular season of all time was relegated to a mere footnote. But they still had a juggernaut offense and an electrifying defense. They had no reason not to be favorites to make it back to the Super Bowl and win it all. Except, they found one. 7.5 minutes into the 2008 season, the New England Patriots lost Tom Brady for the entire year. Brady had already been suffering a mysterious foot injury that caused him to miss all of preseason, and a hit here to his lower leg by safety Bernard Pollard tore both his ACL and MCL. Sure, the Patriots would beat the Chiefs today, but this was a Super Bowl. The season, gone. Suffering a tear like that at the age of 31 in 2008 is a lot different than suffering it now. The medical science is far greater these days, so an injury like that could spell the decline of Brady's Hall of Fame career, or perhaps an immediate end. As for the 2008 Patriots, well, they wanted to remind everyone that they were still a damn good football team. Bill Belichick will get criticism years down the road for his head coaching record without Tom Brady, but this year the job he did was beyond commendable. The Patriots rallied around backup QB Matt Castle, who was nowhere near the quarterback Brady was, but actually put together a good season and finished in the top 10 in yards, touchdowns, and passer rating. Good news, the 2008 Patriots finished 11-5. Bad news, they're one of 2 teams to finish with that record along with the 1985 Broncos and miss the playoffs. The Dolphins finished with the same record, but snatched the AFC East crown on the conference record tiebreaker. It'll be the only time between 2003 and 2019 where the Patriots do not win the AFC East. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's no way the Patriots keep Matt Castle over Tom Brady. And you're correct, they traded Castle to the Chiefs along with Mike Vrabel, ensuring there was no doubt who their franchise QB would be. Brady quickly recovered to make it back to OTAs. Of course, when you're as detail-obsessed as he is, you get grumpy that you didn't throw enough passes during rehab. But he's back, and he's ready to go. In his first game back against the Bills, Brady had his struggles, including a pick 6, and the Patriots trailed by 11 with 5.5 left to play. But Brady led a touchdown drive, ending on a strike to Ben Watson. On the kickoff, the ball bounced New England's way on a return fumble recovered by Stephen Gostkowski. Brady needed only 3 plays before he fired the 16-yard game winner to Watson. This comeback could not have gone any better. The Patriots lost 5 one-score games this season and actually finished with a worse record at 10-6, but this time it was enough to secure the AFC East division, as Brady played really good football and won Comeback Player of the Year. The Patriots had the recipe to win at least one playoff game with another well-rounded roster, but for the first time in the Brady-Belichick era, they couldn't. Brady suffered broken ribs and an additional broken finger leading up to the wildcard game against the Ravens, and left the game with his worst playoff performance to date. He struggled to even surpass 150 yards passing, with 2 deficit-shaving touchdowns to 3 interceptions. It was a 33-14 ass-kicking. These Patriots never lost a playoff game like this before. But at least Brady had come back to guide them here in the first place. And in 2010, as he further recovered, he was back to his 2007 form. The Patriots skyrocketed to the top of the AFC at 14-2, overcoming a defense that was 25th in yards by scoring more points than the other 31 teams. Brady was under 4,000 yards passing, but put up the best single-season touchdown-interception ratio ever seen at the time, throwing 36 touchdowns to only 4 picks. For the second time, he was both Offensive Player of the Year and MVP, and this time, for the first time, Brady's MVP was unanimous. Unlike 2007, he didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers, but this was still a ruthlessly talented bunch that would only get better very soon, but that's for later. His best touchdown target was a rookie tight end that some of you might be familiar with. 10 times he struck pay dirt with Rob Gronkowski, who one day will do to the tight end position what Shaq will do for the center. A clear path to the Super Bowl was in view once again, with home field advantage secured throughout the playoffs. To do that, they had to beat the Jets. Having been sacked just 25 times all season, Brady succumbed to the Jets' pass rush 5 times, also coughing up an interception. New York had an answer to every attempt the Patriots made at coming back, and for the second straight postseason, they went one and done, 28-21. It had been 6 years since their last Lombardi trophy. For any other fan base, this is, we'll get them next time. For Boston sports fans, this is a 52-year drought. Brady usually isn't that vulnerable to the press after suffering a tough playoff defeat, but he was here. It was, as he said, like a 10-mile-per-hour treadmill suddenly stopping at the push of a button. Now, earlier I had mentioned Brady didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers this season, and also that they would only get better very soon. Very soon is 2011. The Patriots scored over 500 points for the second straight season, again securing the AFC's top seed at 13-3. Brady's MVP caliber numbers didn't win him MVP because he was outdone by 2 of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time, but he reached the 5,000 milestone for the very first instance. It had a good reason to reach it, as the receiving room was once again beyond stacked. Deion Branch was in his second season of his second stint in New England, and a 32-year-old finished 4th on a team with 702 receiving yards. Tight end 2 Aaron Hernandez, who will be known for other things, PSA, don't look up what Aaron Hernandez did, finished 3rd with 910 yards and 7 touchdowns. Finishing in 1st is Wes Welker. For the 3rd season, he led the league with 122 catches, while racking up 1,569 yards and 9 touchdowns. But the true game changer was 2nd in team receiving yards with 1,327. Second-year phenom, tight end, Rob Gronkowski. We'll call him Gronk. In the entire Super Bowl era that goes back to 1966, no tight end had ever led a season in receiving touchdowns by themselves, until Gronk did, with 17 of them in 2011, a record for the position that still stands strong today. And this Patriots offense is unlike any other we've ever seen. Their best receivers are not traditional wideouts, but tight ends and slot receivers. Brady and Belichick have been able to crack the code with an offensive game plan among the most dominant to ever play football. The Patriots were able to end their short 3-year playoff win drought by kicking the Broncos in the teeth 45-10 in the divisional round, and Brady cruised with a playoff career-high 6 touchdown passes. This set up an AFC title match with the Ravens. Like the last match between these two, the Ravens got the best of Brady, picking him off twice and preventing him from pulling New England away in the 4th quarter, as the score remained 23-20 Pats. But the Patriots had many heroes step up to make plays in their playoff wins. Attempting that this time is rookie defensive back Sterling Moore. On 2nd and 1 from the Patriots' 14, Joe Flacco had found receiver Lee Evans in the end zone, and Evans had a touchdown punched out by Moore. Moore would break up another pass on the following down, setting up a game-tying field goal attempt from Billy Cundiff with 15 seconds left. Cundiff's 32-yarder wasn't even close to being close, and the Patriots escaped the night with a trip back to the Super Bowl. Although this team had not won at all in 3/4 of a decade, They had a bit of the lucky bounces, the big plays, and the voodoo magic they once had that all championship teams need to hoist a Lombardi. Their NFC opponent in the winner-take-all event would be... oh no. It was the Eli Manning Giants again. The 2011 Giants became the first team to make a Super Bowl with a negative point differential, but like the 2007 title run, they smelled blood and made it past 3 NFC playoff games. The 2011 Pats' biggest weakness came from their 31st ranked defense in yards allowed, but for Super Bowl standards, the 396 yards they allowed here weren't awful. Still, matters weren't helped when Brady and Welker could not connect on a game-sealing play late. This is one of those plays where you have as many people calling out the throw as you do people calling it a flat-out drop. Tough luck here. And for the second time, Eli Manning tore through the hearts of New England with a signature clutch throw on New York's way to a go-ahead touchdown drive at the last minute. On the Patriots' last drive, Gronk, battling a high ankle sprain from the Ravens game, almost came down with what would have been the first walk-off touchdown in Super Bowl history. It fell to the ground, however, and the Brady Patriots had lost their second Super Bowl to the Eli Manning Giants. These Patriots were always capable of a deep run, but could they close out the way they used to? Instead of answering that question, though, let's answer this one. What if you took a fantastic offense and made it one of the greatest in NFL history once again? The second team to score 500 points in 3 consecutive seasons, the Patriots' 557 points in 2012 are the 5th most from any team ever. Their 444 first downs also remain an NFL record, and their 6,846 total yards are still 10th all time. Not even injuries to Gronkowski and the other tight end could hinder progress. Wes Welker finished with his 5th season in 6 with at least 110 catches. He caught 672 passes from 2007 to 2012. To put that stretch into perspective, second-place Brandon Marshall caught 592 passes. He was lapping everyone. Along with Welker, we had 1,200-yard back Stephen Ridley, 11 touchdowns and almost 800 yards from Gronk in only 11 games, the receiving prowess of back Danny Woodhead, censored, and over 900 yards from one-year rental Brandon Lloyd. And with Brady putting together one of the finest seasons of his career, we have one of the greatest offenses to ever be assembled. The 12-4 Pats had to settle for the 2 seed, but got to host the AFC Championship when the top seed Broncos fell in double overtime and New England steamrolled the Texans in the divisional round. The AFC title rematch came against the Ravens, a pissed-off bunch from the previous January face-off between these two. This wasn't coming down to a missed field goal, not this time. The Ravens again picked off Brady twice and held a historic offense to 0 fourth-quarter points. Back to square one for New England, again. You'd think they'd be able to run it back again with another offense that scored 500 points in 2013. That didn't happen. They certainly ran it back to go 12-4 with the AFC second seed, but this team and Brady were not as huge a force as they once were. Brady's stats had regressed into solid numbers with a makeshift receiving group. One bright spot was the breakout of beloved receiver Julian Edelman, who will be a key piece in this Pats offense for years to come. But Brady, who hadn't been sacked 40 times in a season since 2001, was sacked exactly 40 times. But there were still hints of greatness provided by the 36-year-old, even if the production had declined. He provided a signature play against the Saints in Week 6 with a game-winning last-second touchdown beauty to Kenbrell Tompkins. Against the Peyton Manning Broncos in Week 12, he had led his players from 24-0 down to a wild 34-31 overtime win in which he threw 3 touchdowns for 344 yards. The Patriots let Brady rest in the divisional round where LeGarrette Blount shredded the Colts defense for 4 touchdowns and the defense created 4 takeaways to help pull away in the fourth quarter. Waiting for them in the AFC Championship game in Denver were those Peyton Manning Broncos. But in round 2, New England wasn't quite so fortunate. Manning destroyed the normally stout Patriots defense for 400 yards, a pair of touchdowns, and 0 turnovers. New England's offense could not keep up with the record-setting Broncos, and for the 9th straight season, they went home empty-handed 26-16. Brady went into the 2014 season looking worse than ever before. Brady didn't throw for more than one touchdown in any of his first 4 games, and the Patriots had an underwhelming start of 2-2. Officially, the Brady-Belichick dynasty came to an end in Week 4 against the Chiefs. The Patriots quarterback that day was only Tom Brady by name. He was terrible, not even hitting 160 yards passing while turning the ball over 3 times. The 41-14 karate chop to the dome was widely mocked. Bill Belichick was now fielding questions about a declining Brady. Brady was now facing questions as to if this was the beginning of the end for the Patriots' greatest ever player. At 37 years old, being washed isn't a bad thing for a quarterback at that age. If Brady retired after this season, no one would blame him. But this is where the dark age of the Dynasty Patriots ends, and where the second part of their championship run begins. Following the Chiefs' loss, Belichick gave the team and the fan base its most iconic forward phrase, "We're on to Cincinnati." Suddenly, Brady returned to form in that game, a 43-17 tsunami, and thanks to the help of a revived, much improved defense, they recovered from their 2-2 start to finish 12-4, finally overcoming the Broncos to earn the AFC's top seed once again. Brady became the 4th quarterback to throw for 10 touchdowns in the postseason, finishing off a revenge tour by winning Super Bowl MVP against the Seahawks after the Patriots avoided a 3rd straight loss off a miracle deep catch, winning the game by 1 yard. Brady didn't retire after that season after all, winning 2 more Super Bowls in New England, 1 more Super Bowl MVP, and 1 more MVP during his time with the Patriots before moving to the Bucs in 2020 and immediately winning 1 last Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, further cementing himself as the greatest player at the quarterback position. No one talks about it now, and no one needs to, but the Patriots had ended a 9-year drought without a ring in 2014. Also, winning a Super Bowl is extremely hard, never forget that. Those teams fascinate me more than the ones that got the job done because of their failures, and because they still had guys step up and make key plays to put themselves in position to try and win it all. As a fan of one of the NFL's worst teams though, if this was Brady's dark era as a quarterback, you can sign me up every time. Hey, what's up? It's me again. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, check out this playlist, check out this video, and make sure you check out more of my videos on this channel. And hey, I'll see you next time. Take it easy.